So this was in a summer school project that I actually did this music with children. And this was something I actually made up to explain what Moroccan music was. So this was just to educate the young people about the different sort of instruments that we used. So like I said, I was actually really thirsty to actually learn about our culture, and everything that looked shiny, I actually went and tried. So this is a concert we were playing here for the parents, and as you can see, Chinese, Pakistani, Eritrean, they all playing Moroccan instruments with me. And I had this mandolin made in Casablanca in 1985, and this is also the group, again from different nationalities. We're playing for a school, and sometimes we used to play concerts for a cultural event where we had different. We had a venue where we had different people from different countries, and we'd perform like a concert for them. Again, this is a photo with Sidi Mohammed Batmallah Rahmah. He's one of the members of the Mshad, and also Nujum. We came to London to play a concert at the time. Okay, I'll move on to the next section now. Again, this was just a short, if you like, a short CV about some of my background. And then eventually, as I actually got a bit more deeper into the cultural heritage, I became very inspired by Ibn Battuta. Now, as you know, Ibn Battuta was a traveler of the 14th century. He was the first backpacker in the world, and he has actually inspired many people all over the world. What this man did was just fascinating. I mean, really fascinated me, because I just couldn't see that I immigrated from Morocco to London, and I couldn't see that I would just stay journeying just from Morocco to London. And I wanted to expand my knowledge, as I already had done some travel in Morocco. And I got inspired by this man, and I found some fascinating things within this man. I actually followed the footsteps of Ibn Battuta, and I did a journey that took me a year and a month, 13 months. And I visited some of the countries that Ibn Battuta actually visited, and some of the countries that he didn't. So, but at the same time, the main thing was to actually just get a feel of how to travel and to think of this man in my journeys. As I was in India, as I was in other parts of like Asia, like China, I visited a mosque, which I have a very big article which I actually wrote about this mosque, which is the oldest mosque in China. And as soon as I went in and said that I was Moroccan, they were so happy, and they said Ibn Battuta actually prayed in this mosque. And it was something like 600 years later that I actually would come and pray in the same mosque as this man did, and I was fascinated. So, and in fact, many people know him all over the world. I mean, even in Asia, people still know him. So what I did is I actually prepared. I did a research for about 7 months. That was 1994, and I actually gathered some information. And at that time, I did this rihla, which was a completely different atmosphere. It wasn't like now. Now you have digital technology. And at the time, it was the analog. I had to use photographic slides and videos, and that was very, very hard, because by traveling, I had to send these films back to the house in London and ask my parents to put these films in a fridge so that the products don't get spoiled. And so it was a horrendous journey. It was, I mean, for 13 months, I was traveling non-stop, just backpacking, and I went to some of the most difficult places in the world, including the so-called the roof of the world, like Tibet and Nepal, and reached even Mount Everest. Okay, this is. I'll just go through some of the photos and explain. And this has also got some beautiful photographs from different architectural buildings around Asia that I actually visited. And this one is in It's called Registan Square. This is in Samarkand. Samarkand is in Uzbekistan, and it was so difficult to actually travel into Central Asia at the time. Very, very difficult. You needed to pay something like $76 a night to get a visa. So, because Russia at the time, all this country was still dominating these countries, and there was no embassies for Uzbekistan, so you had to go through the Russian authorities to get a visa. And it was very, very difficult. In fact, when I was in Samarkand, I mean, it was a dream, because I got inspired by the Muslim scholars, and I really wanted to be where they actually lived, and where these people actually spend their life, and what have you, like Al-Khwarizmi, Ibn Sina. And I was fortunate to actually visit Imam al-Bukhari's grave, which he's actually buried about 30 kilometers out of Samarkand. And there's no transport. You have to actually hitchhike to actually visit this place. And I was so lucky when I got there they had a remembrance of the death of Imam Bukhari, and people came from all over the world. So it was also a celebration there that they had a huge gathering from people that came all over the world for that occasion. So this is Samarkand Square. It contains some of the most beautiful architectural buildings in Central Asia, and these are the madrasas, the schools of knowledge, where people from Uzbekistan and other parts of Central Asia used to come and study for knowledge. This is another building here, and as you can see in this building, there is an image there. It's supposed to be Amir Timur, and this is obviously not allowed in Islamic architecture, but over the years, people started to develop different styles, and this is actually one of them. And this is a dome in Bukhara, which is also, Bukhara, Samarkand and Khiva, which these are the three cities, one of the oldest cities in the world, and they're fascinating to see. It's just like opening a chapter or going back in time. Or if you actually visit these places, you'll feel that you'll really be pushed back in time, because all the actual architectural buildings are still intact in the form that they were before. This is a minaret. This is the highest minaret in Central Asia, and it's in Bukhara. And in fact, when Genghis Khan came to this minaret, he was so amazed that he didn't do anything to it, because he just left it. Otherwise, in his time, obviously, a lot of buildings were actually ruined and broken and demolished. This is again a view of Bukhara, and like I said, it's just like a dream. You go back to a zaman, a timeline that you don't think that it still exists, but this is how it is. This is in Bukhara. Again, this is one of the mosques in Bukhara. You can see the architectural style of the building differs from one country to another. It's all Islamic architecture, but the influence of other previous civilizations, whatever, also affect, and you can see it changes, although it resembles the same as you would see a mosque anywhere. In Morocco, it'll be a square minaret rather than round. But if you go to Wali Idris Zolhon, there is a mosque there, and I think it's the only mosque probably in Morocco that has a round minaret. It's a green with green and white zilij, and it's one of the actual only one around in Morocco. I have an article which you can actually read, an article research on Islam in China, and that mosque actually has been mentioned in that article. This one is the actual article I was just mentioning just now. It's about the oldest mosque in China, and this is built somewhat over 1,300 years ago, whatever 1,300 years ago, before actually Islam reached North Africa. So because Islam in China had a connection with the Arabs 500 years prior to Islam. So when Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, which is the uncle of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was actually appointed by Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu to actually go and give da'wah in China. And he went to the emperor, and the emperor actually accepted his invitation. But he couldn't actually accept Islam as a religion. But he found some of the things which are close to Confucius religion, and actually because he was closer to Confucius, he allowed him to actually propagate Islam. And this was the first mosque erected. Now I'll give you a link if you want to read the article. It's about a 20-page all about Islam in China, and I've explained how this mosque was actually built at the time, and other mosques also in China. The next shot is basically this is a mausoleum that they've made for Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu. But I actually mentioned in my article that research that the actual Sa'd ibn Waqqas radiallahu anhu died in Medina, about 4 kilometers out of Medina, but did not die in China. But probably due to respect for Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, they built this mosque for him in a place called Rawdat Abi Waqqas, which is a special Muslim graveyard. This is another mosque actually in Beijing. This is one of the most beautiful mosques in Beijing, one of the oldest too. It's about over 1,000 years old. And this photo was taken just after the Jum'ah prayer, which you can see the next photo, which is this was the Jum'ah congregation prayer that I actually attended there. That's the Imam. This is a mihrab of a mosque in Xi'an. Xi'an, again, another large city in China. And this mosque is about 10,000 meters, one of the largest mosques in China. And this is the mihrab and the imam there. This is Arabic Chinese calligraphy. Again, we're back into the arts again. Again, also Chinese, they've made some beautiful Arabic calligraphy designs. And I know a calligraphist by the name of Haj Noor, which you can check on the net. He has something like 500 types of different Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's an incredible man. I actually met him, and I have some of his work on my Facebook too, and he's an incredible man. And the amazing thing is that you'll see this from far distance, and it may look even like an animal. And as soon as you approach it, then you begin to see the Arabic, the actual Arabic letters within the Chinese formula, as you can see. So it's fascinating, really. They made their own sort of design. This is called Badi Shahi Masjid in Lahore, in Pakistan. It's also one of the largest mosques in Pakistan. This is a photo with some of the brothers in Quetta. You must have heard in Quetta, and that's me there because I changed a few times in my photographs. You may not be able to recognize me, but I actually met this beautiful people in Quetta, which is Balochistan, part of which used to be part of Afghanistan at one stage before the split. The British actually split the section, Balochistan, Peshawar, and then Pakistan. So this is part of Balochistan, and the largest city, which is Quetta. And I met this really beautiful boy here, which is Talib al-Ilm, who's learning to Hifd al-Quran. And I wanted to take this photo with his daddy here. The next photo is an adventure which I actually did. We were in Kashmir, Pakistan. We actually wanted to reach the border of China from Pakistan, but apparently there was an avalanche. And once the avalanche took place, there was lots of snow, and the coach couldn't make it. We tried to pull and everything. As you can see, people here from different places. This man here is from Kashgar. Kashgar is obviously in Xinjiang, and it's one of the largest Muslim communities in China. The actual place itself is as large as Japan, and there's over 70 million Chinese Muslims living there. And as you can see from the dress, this was one of the men who was trying to reach